Hey, welcome back. We're going to try this again. This is a one-point perspective drawing, and it's part of learning about the element of space. It's also linear perspective, which is one of the ways artists create the illusion of space using lines, linear, and the lines are slanted. Okay, so number 2 rule for me is that you have your set up to clean up, and all I need for this assignment, all you need, is a pencil, a ruler, and some plain white paper, okay? So I'm going to begin by drawing a horizon line. This is the line where the sky and the earth meet, and it's also called the eye level line. What that basically means is if you're standing or sitting or laying down, maybe, I don't know, directly straight out from your eyes would be the eye level line, straight out horizontally if you're standing, for example. And then, like I said earlier, if this is the horizon line, then this is where the sky meets the earth, and then if there are mountains, it'd be up on this, all that. All right, so on this horizon line, we're going to draw a vanishing point. Technically, this vanishing point can be anywhere on this horizon line. I just kind of guessed at putting it in the middle. And we're going to draw some boxes today. Just some simple squares that we're going to turn into three-dimensional looking boxes, okay? And this is all building up to more complicated drawing. But this is a real simple way to learn how to draw perspective or linear perspective. So I kind of cheated there, you see that? And that I used my ruler, both sides of it, edges, to get a nice square. Now I want you to pay attention here to this. I've lined my square up, the edges like this with this and that with that, so it's kind of parallel with the edges of our paper, and that's what I hope that you'll do. So we're going to go ahead and just work on this one square first. We're going to take this to the vanishing point. This is called the vanishing point because it's where all perspective lines disappear. And so, like I said earlier, slanted lines create the illusion of distance or space. So we're going to go from here to the vanishing point. We're going to go from this corner to the vanishing point. Now, ideally, this box that we're making from this square is solid. You cannot see through it. And so that is why we're drawing only from these three corners. Let me explain that just a little farther. So this is our eye level line. Technically, our vanishing point would be directly out in front of wherever we're standing. Now, if we're technically looking, if we're over here kind of and we're looking, our vanishing point would be there. If we're over here, vanishing point would be there. And that changed the look of everything we're drawing. But the vanishing point has to be on this horizon line. Okay, so now this is like a box that is below our eye level, and it's to the right of where we're standing. Let's cut this box off a little bit. So we don't want it going on forever, but I'm going to add a little bit of length to that, just so you'll see how it gets smaller the farther away it goes from us. So that's how I did the side. I'm going to go ahead and do the top the same way. Just line this up with the front of the box. Now, if you think about this, if we're making a box and it's square in front, it's going to be square in back. So when you cut that off, or you're going to draw those areas to cut it off, those lines, it will be square there on the back side. And so part of this illusion of space is how that this seems bigger than this. And you know, our drawing, these lines are longer than these. But because of these vertical or diagonal lines that go to this vanishing point, that makes this shrink as it goes back. And it creates a real illusion. Go look at a train track sometime, or go maybe look at a road that's really straight. I know all of us have been maybe going somewhere or another on a really straight road or even a curvy road, and you look down far away from you. And it looks like it gets smaller. Really, it doesn't. That's the illusion of, or that's space, actually. Okay, so now we're doing another square. Well, rectangle this time. Same idea. This time, though, it's to the left of where we're standing. You can imagine that we're standing here. Let's just say this is our footprints. And, of course, we're off the page. But we're standing here. And so this one is to the left of our vanishing point, and it's below our horizon line. So the reason I mention that, notice how we see the top of this one? Because it's below our eye level line. This one we're going to see the top of because it's below our eye level line, and it's to the left, so we'll see the right side of it. This one's to the right, so we see the left side. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw this. Boom. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this. Boom. And then we're going to... So because the box is supposed to be solid, you don't draw from this corner here. If you draw that, then you're going to have a see-through box. And we don't want the see-through box right now. A lot of times it's more confusing to do that. So now we've got this one. It looks like it goes on forever, and we don't really want it going on forever. I'll show you what a lot of my students do. I'll tell them to go ahead and cut that box off. They'll go in here and they'll draw a line like that. Well, look at that. And if you erase that, that looks pretty doggone cattywonker. We're going to take and line our ruler up with the front vertically, parallel to, and we're going to go over here. And that's going to be that edge. Now you can do this at however long you want to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and go across here, horizontally. One of the things I forgot to mention right at the beginning, and that's my number one rule, is to draw it light till you get it right. And truthfully, I stole that off of a lady that did YouTube a few years ago. I think she still does. So there's 1, 2. Let's do one right now, directly above where we're looking and directly above where we're standing. Okay? So now what I do in school, a lot of times I'm going to use like a very long rectangle to create this one, and here's why. It's like a pizza box. It's going to look like a pizza box floating, so to speak. That's a really thick pizza box, huh? So because it's directly above us, we're going to see the bottom. But because it's directly above this vanishing point, we can't see either side of it. So let's just go from these two corners, or two edges, because this is all that we'll end up seeing. Something that you will get in the habit of doing the more you practice this. As long as you're lining your ruler up with the vanishing point and the corner, or the edge, depending on what you're drawing, you don't have to draw these lines all the way, because if you do, you're going to have a lot of erasing to do. So I'm going to go ahead and see how that, I'm going to let that box go just a little bit farther back there, keeping it horizontal when I cut it off. Boom. Okay, so there we go. Now we have 3 boxes like that. Let's draw one more. Let's do it over here. And then I'm going to, well, I'll draw a couple more. I'm going to do one here, like this. And it's directly on that horizon line, or on the vanishing, or the eye level line. So that means that if we're looking right through there, we can't see underneath it, because it's directly on our eye level line, but we can't see on top of it either. So we're going to go ahead, and we already have us a line made here. I'm not going to draw all that because I don't want to erase all that. And then I'm going to go from this corner, boom, and then we'll, again, this is if you go in there with diagonal lines like I did there earlier, it makes it look like it's falling down. The key to make things standing up when you're drawing on a perspective drawing is to keep all vertical things vertical. If it's a box, if it's a tree, if it's a post. Now, artistic license and real life, occasionally you'll have a tree, a post, or a fence, or not occasionally, all the time, that's slanted a little bit. But in the geometric world, so to speak. All right, so there's 5 boxes. Let's do one more. I'm going to do this one. Now, if you draw one here, it'd be the same concept as these, right? Because it's going to go, it's above, you'll see the bottom. It's to the right, so you'll see the left side. Let's draw one down here, because this confuses my students sometimes. That is a little bit close to the edge. I do need to draw one more. Boom. And fairly large, right? Now this one, we're standing off the page, so to speak, right? But we're here, and this is our vanishing point. We can see the bottom of. We can still see the side of. Same idea. You're going to draw from the corner to the vanishing point. I'm not going to go all the way because I just don't have to erase it. And I'm going to do that from here to the corner to the vanishing point. This is the part that confuses my students sometimes. So I'm going to, when I draw this one, because these boxes are solid, we don't want to have to erase a bunch. Line up your vanishing point and your corner. And when you come to another line, stop. It's like stop. So when you come to that line, just stop. There's no use going through that because this is a solid box. And so let's cut this baby off. And I'm going to give it a little bit of length here. And notice I started on the side. If you started on the top, it'd been a little harder because of that box there. So now the same thing, I'm going to move my ruler up to where that line, the edge of that box, comes up to. And I'm keeping it horizontal still. Boom. Then I'll go in here and I'll erase this. Now, one other thing I should have talked about in the beginning is that when you're holding a ruler or a straight edge or whatever you're using, I always like to have at least 2 fingers on there when I'm drawing a line. Or I'll do it right here, for example. If I'm doing that, it's much easier for me to control that ruler and to keep it from slipping. But if I just have 1 finger on there and I'm drawing a line and I'm pushing any at all against that ruler, well, it's going to go sideways and it's going to mess up your drawing. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. You know what I'd like for you to do? Practice this. Practice. Try to fill this page with boxes. I think maybe, you could get an unlimited number in there, but you could draw a large one here maybe. Now something I didn't mention also, and maybe I should here in this one. The closer you get to the eye level line, well, the more distorted the bottom or the top will be. And the closer you get to directly above or below the vanishing point, the more distorted the sides will be. So now I didn't talk you through this one, but you can see what I'm doing. I'm going boom. Now look at the bottom of this box. And I'm going to go boom. Because it's closer to this line and you're farther over this way or whatever, it gets smaller quicker, right? So if I bring this down, and I could cut it off on the side or on the bottom, either one, boom. And this confuses people sometimes, straight up and down, vertical. Then I'll erase these because they think, oh, it's not supposed to look distorted like that. Well, that's part of the thing with perspective and drawing like this. And in real life, it looks distorted when you're looking at it over a distance. Okay, so this is our 1-point perspective drawing. And I'd like for you to try this. This is it builds up. And like Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper is a 1-point perspective planned painting. And we'll get into that. So thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time. And practice, because practice helps you get better.